and this is my soon-to-be son-in-law, Avery, and we both love to cook, but we know there's a lot of people out there who are uncomfortable in the kitchen. They're confused about how to cook healthy food. They think they don't have enough time to cook, so they don't sit down to the table and share a meal with family and friends, and they end up picking up unhealthy food on the run.
Well, we are here to change all of that. We're going to show you how to cook quick, healthy, everyday food so that you can be confident in the kitchen and have more memories around the table with the people that you love. You've got this, so let's get started. Welcome everybody. I'm excited for another episode.
Yep, here we are at the Fresh Table, and this is going to be something that's actually a program that's about by request. I ask people, what is it that you wish we had more of? And a consistent theme is, I wish you had more recipes that included 5 ingredients or less. So I listened, and that's what we're doing, right? So everything we're going to cook today has 5 or less. The only thing that doesn't include is if you want to salt and pepper things to your taste or some olive oil. But other than that, 5 and less. So let's go ahead, Avery, kick it off here.
All right, chicken enchiladas made in a way that you may have never had them before. We're going to put them inside of a spaghetti squash. Kind of crazy. It's going to be amazing.
But we're crazy.
So first, I've got a hot pan. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm going to get a nice sear. Again, that nice color, a little bit of tan, kind of brown color on the chicken and vegetables makes them taste much, much better. So let's do it.
So yeah, spaghetti squash, we're going to walk you through this, guys, because not everybody's familiar with how to cook a spaghetti squash, and there are so many healthy ways that you can use this in your eating and when you cook. So we'll get that chicken, some peppers going, and then Avery's going to just really walk you through what to do with this big, heavy thing. You can do it as a workout, a little bicep curl, right?
So that is, that is one, it's a half pound of chopped, diced chicken thighs. I like chicken thighs, the dark meat a lot more. It stays moist just a lot longer, and it's just, I think, more flavorful.
I do too.
So that is half a pound of chicken thighs. I'm gonna add 1 full cup, it's about 1 just red pepper. I've got 3/4 of a cup of enchilada sauce. I've got a cup of cheese, and then I'll use 1 of these spaghetti squash for the filling. So we're gonna mix everything up and put it back into here, put some cheese on it, pop it in the oven. It's amazing and used as an ingredient that is a lot of times pretty cheap. Squash in general, potatoes, things like that, of course, aren't gonna be the most expensive thing at the store. So this one is awesome. Biggest thing is you have to be careful. I would recommend cutting it in half and roasting it just like we did. We usually roast it face down so that it gets a little bit of color on the top. No real rhyme or reason to that, just a little olive oil on the pan and then roast it. Usually I would say about 400, and you're looking at about 20 or 30 minutes before it's totally tender. So with this guy, if you'll follow me, we're gonna take it, big knife, sharp knife, make sure that you're tucking all your fingertips in and things like that. You gotta be careful. I'm just gonna get a little bit in there.
These are not easy, guys. Sometimes I have to call my husband or my son to cut it in half. So be careful. You have to have a nice sharp knife. But we wanted to cook it in advance so we can show you how we're gonna make this item. But we also wanted to show you how you would do this so that you can see what it looks like inside.
So with this, I'm just gonna use a spoon, kind of back of a spoon, just like a pumpkin. I'm just gonna scrape this. Yeah, if you'll stir the chicken. You can toss in those peppers if you want to.
I can do that.
So again, I'm getting a nice color. It's gonna be nice. A little bit of salt and pepper on that chicken as well. And then with this, you're just slowly getting it until it all comes out. I'm sure you could probably roast these seeds. It's probably not enough to really make that kind of worth your time, not like a pumpkin. And then once you do so, you get all the scragglers. And voila, that's all you do. So you can get as much or as little of that as you'd like. After this, I'm just gonna roast it face down in a pan, like I said, for about 20, 30 minutes, and that's delicious. So with this, we cooked this guy up yesterday, so I'm gonna put this to the side. And I've got, when it comes out, it's called spaghetti squash, as you can see, because it forms these nice strings, which is kind of odd. I don't know why it does that.
I know.
Is there like a scientific reason why
I think it's because God really wanted us to not eat a lot of pasta, and so he created spaghetti squash.
Well, this is perfect. It is kind of strange how it forms just like these little bands, but it does, which is awesome. So when it comes out and it's roasted and it's delicious, this is all I've got to do is take a spoon or a fork, and you can see how it comes out stringy like that. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It kind of is very, very odd to me. And look how easily it comes out. It smells a touch sweet, And it's just like an awesome.
I didn't know what you were going to go with that. It smells like, and I'm like, I got nothing for you.
Well, it's like a
It
little
smells
bit
like
of like
squash to me.
earthy, smell like squash, and you've got like just this really nice,
Yeah.
just like kind of like almost potatoey, kind of wholesome kind of flavor.
The fork helps to kind of break these up, guys. So if you can see, I mean, it's hard to get into this, but I should
Forms
have
like a
used
little
like a
string.
glass bowl. But if you just got a fork at it, it really comes into like spaghetti. So.
It's awesome.
And the nice thing is, I mean, the chicken, you can start, putting it in because we are going to cook it more. So you want that chicken about 3/4 of the way done. You don't want to overcook that chicken. Good. How's that look?
Yeah, I think let's do it.
All right, let's
So
put
we
it
can
in
go
here.
ahead and add. You want to add the enchilada sauce
Sure.
in here?
Yep, I'll add it in here, and then.
Let's do that.
So that was 3/4 a cup of the enchilada sauce. Other things, if you wanted to add more ingredients, some cumin in here, any of your kind of Mexican-y type spices would be good. All right.
So again, I could let this have a touch more color on it if I wanted, but again, it's going to continue to cook in the oven. You could use ground beef, ground turkey, whatever you were really in the mood for. If you wanted to exchange the meat, you could also just add more vegetables and have like this really nice kind of Latin American Mexican style meal. So let me dump this in
Yeah, you
there.
go ahead and dump in there.
I'm left-handed, and so sometimes I have to like position my body like on camera to like get in the right spot.
We're both left-handed, so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of crazy.
Avery and my daughter Denica, his wife, you do a lot of vegetarian type stuff too. So you could do some, like you said, a ton of veggies in here, right?
Part of that is choice. Just we prefer a lot of the vegetables, and when you really know what you're doing cooking-wise, you can be able to do that. A part of it is also just like price, really. Sometimes it's really expensive to buy those like nicer cuts of meat, and so I just kind of just got used to eating more of the vegetables and saving a little bit of money. We will splurge usually for like a nice like piece of fish for like a big occasion or something like that. It's just so good.
Do you want to pour that back in there
Let's do
and
it.
put the cheese on top after that?
Heck yeah.
Okay.
Well, these just get filled back up. It's going to be, of course, a touch bigger than it was in here, and it's going to kind of dome over the top. We'll throw some cheese on it, and until that cheese is basically golden brown and delicious, I've got an oven that right now is at 400 degrees. It'll probably take about 5 minutes, but again, watch it, and you want that cheese to have a little bit of color.
Yeah, keep that chicken cooking. All right, so while he's doing that, I'm going to move on to the next one because we got a lot to get done today. This, I have to tell you about this dish. So I was in Spain. I know, poor me, right? I was in southern Spain. My husband took a sabbatical. He has been working for a ministry for quite a long time, and he took a month off. And so I was the good wife and went with him on his sabbatical and went to Spain with him because that's
Sacrifices.
I know, the sacrifices I do. But while we were there, I had some fun cooking with some different ingredients, and this is one of the dishes that I made, and it's going to be a seared fish. Now you can use any fish you want. I have a cod here, so we're going to use some cod. But what I'm going to do in the base of it is to take some chorizo. Chorizo is a Spanish sausage, and it gives off a lot of flavor, but it also gives off quite a bit of grease. So the thing that I do, like when I'm using something like a chorizo or a bacon, I use really small amounts because they're not great for you, but they impart so much flavor, okay? So if you look at this chorizo, sometimes you'll get it and it's just ground in a container. Sometimes it comes in these little containers. I don't want you to, my friend Eileen, who's here helping us, was laughing at me because I'm like, no, I want to show them, don't eat the metal. She's like, really? You think they're going to? But I just don't, I want you to know that that's like a metal tip, and then this is kind of like a plastic. So I'm going to cut the top off. And I'm only going to use a couple tablespoons. Now you could add more if you wanted to, but I'm just going to add a little bit, about half of this. And I'm going to squeeze it into the pan. I think the pan's already hot, right, Avery?
Yeah, it's going.
So we're going to put that in. If you could then kind of chop that for me. Do you see how that comes out right there, guys? Just nice like that. So
You want a little oil now, or is there enough fat in the
I think
sausage?
there's enough fat in that sausage
Great.
because it really does give off a lot. So I'm just going to get that going. Once that chorizo gives off the oil and it's starting to, enough in there, I'm then going to put my fish in there. And I'm just going to be a hot pan. Again, fish, so often we overcook it. Don't you think?
If you get a hot pan and you get that sear, a good way to tell, and some tricks with cooking fish, I like to lay it away from me so that if I'm putting it in the pan, I put it and I lay it away from me. A lot of people just slap it down, and that one that's going to get oil all over your clothes, but it's also very dangerous. Burn yourself.
Oh.
So when it, yeah, exactly.
I have a burn on my finger here. I don't know if you can see.
It blistered.
It's like, I got a big old blister here. Yeah,
Oh my
so
gosh.
I know.
Oh, I don't
I
know.
mean, you guys all thought I was being wimpy when I was like, oh.
It actually did hurt.
It really hurt. Okay.
If you put, here's the chef trick, a little bit of just natural, just white vinegar on right after you get burned. Actually helps a little bit.
Yeah, he tells me that, and I put it on last night, and it was as though someone poured like acid on my finger. He's
Hurts a lot at first, but
but it doesn't hurt at all today, which
Exactly.
is amazing. I'm putting, yeah, so good tip.
So lay it away from you. If you do that, you can also tell about when it's going to be done based on the side of it. When you're first cooking, I really recommend that you get a thermometer. You learn the temperatures that meat should be. It's just foolproof. And with this guy, I'm going to lay it away from me, and then I'm going to flip it when you can see on the side when it's about halfway done. And that gives me about 2 or 3 minutes on each side, depending on how hot the pan is. I like a medium high. If you've got like a number 1 or to 10, you put on about a 7.
Okay.
So again, when I put it in,
there?
lay it away. Make sure there's enough oil. Cod likes to flake a lot, so you have to be a little bit careful with it.
Okay, so again, sticking with our 5 ingredients or less, what we're going to do is we're going to show you how it's going to have a green pea mash underneath it, and that's what I'm going to show you how to make. And it's super confusing. We're going to take 1 cup of peas and 3 tablespoons of olive oil, okay? And this is going to come into almost like a mashed potato type consistency, and that will go underneath it. Let me go ahead and blend this up. How's that fish looking over there?
It looks amazing.
Okay, let me see what this is going to look like here. Here we go.
So the last ingredient in this guy is the sun-dried tomatoes. I have a weak spot for sun-dried tomatoes, so I kind of just put them in everything. They're just so good. They're a touch expensive, but that's why if you use just kind of chopped up, it just adds that really incredibly powerful flavor. Just like the chorizo, you're adding things. If you have 5 ingredients, it doesn't have to mean that you sacrifice a ton of flavor, or they're just super bland dishes. But they're just so powerful of a flavor that it's amazing.
See? That's what it's going to look like. I know, isn't that? It's a really pretty one for display, too. So I'll show you that when we're done with the fish. And but I also wanted to share something with you as these things are kind of cooking over here a little bit. I am one person who has a tendency to get hangry. Have you ever heard of that word, hangry?
I get it bad.
What's it mean? Hangry is
hungry, so hungry that makes you angry.
Anybody ever get hangry? Like, it's bad because he's that way, I'm that way. My son Neil is really that way. And so we have to watch it. We can't let ourselves get too hungry. And when we do, I think it's a real test of my character when I'm hungry and I'm trying so hard not to get angry. But there's this word hangry. And I have to tell you, I was, for whatever reason, thinking about that word hangry. And you know what I feel like? I feel like a lot of us are hangry. And what I mean by that is that our soul is hungry. It is hungry for something, and we're trying to fill it with all these other things. And these other things don't satisfy our soul. And we keep searching and searching, but we can't get rid of this hangriness. And we can't live truly with love coming out of us. We can't live loving others and loving everybody we meet because our soul is still hungry. And guys, if you are searching for that, something to satisfy your soul, I'm just telling you, it's Jesus. I went 40 years without any faith, and I had a soul that was hangry. And then one day, God just came and said, I'm here. I got you. He gave me peace and some joy, but he took away the hangriness of my soul. And so I wanted to share that with you because kind of it's a cooking show. We talk about being hungry. And when we think about it being hungry, we always think about our stomach and filling this. But Jesus, in the Bible, it says, the words of the Bible, they're nourishment for my soul. And I so believe that. Oh my goodness, if you just, guys, can open up your heart, and I don't know where you are in your faith right now, but wherever you are, open up your heart and say, God, if you're real, can you satisfy this hunger in my soul? So I just want to share that little bit, guys, here in the middle of our cooking. But all right, let's see how our fish is. Do we need to flip that fish out?
Yeah, a big test with fish is that a lot of times you see like somebody they're outside grilling and they've got this like spatula and they're like scraping things up from the bottom. Meat especially will tell you when to flip it. If you have to force it, it's not ready. So if you ever see somebody like scraping, that means that it's probably a little too early. When it forms that crust, it naturally releases. When something cold hits something hot, it is going to stick just naturally. So if I come over here and as I try to get under this fish, it's going to stick a little bit, and that tells me that it just needs one more second. And that's just kind of learning some of those chef things. So I'm keeping an eye on that. I got kind of a timer in the back of my head of as far as how long it's been going. It stuck a little bit when I went to flip it over, so I'm gonna give it just a second. But that will give us a chance to kind of regroup.
Yeah, we'll reset because we're going to still teach you how to make one other 5-ingredient or less item, and then we'll kind of show you the completion of those. So let's just take a quick little break, reset, and we'll be right back.
All right, here we go. Round 2. We're going to get this last dish going. This is a favorite of mine. This is broccolini. We are going to make gnocchi pasta. So with broccolini, Italian sausage, and Parmesan. This is amazing. So broccolini is like broccoli and asparagus hybrid. It's amazing. It's got that same kind of crunchy broccoli kind of taste with being like not overly pungent like sometimes asparagus is. We're just going to boil this in the same pot that we boil this. We're going to add our gnocchi. So this is pre-made. You can make it yourself with some flour and some oil and some potatoes. There's a couple different ways to do this, but actually some of the ones you can get either frozen or fresh are amazing. So we're just going to add this all into one pot. We're going to sear.
It's already boiling the water.
Yeah, so we've got some boiling water. And right there we've got about 2 cups of vegetables. That could vary a lot. I want to do more of the vegetables than I do the pasta. I think a lot of times we get those proportions mixed up.
For sure.
So let's do more of some of those added ingredients and less of this kind of pasta. It's not the worst thing in the world to have some of these like really nicely made pastas. A lot of people look at carbs or pasta and they just go, no, I can't do it. Again, if you have high quality ingredients and you're eating them in moderation and you are being more mindful of eating a wide variety of things than you are kind of just like counting calories, I think you'll have a healthier relationship with food and it will just kind of keep everything in check. Again, I don't need to be having 4 cups of olive oil with every meal and just dipping a bunch of bread in that, but a little bit of bread and olive oil is not the end of the world.
Yep, exactly. It's moderation. It truly is. With the pasta, lots of vegetables, a little bit of pasta. So you can eat a lot of the things that we know are really good for us and our body needs, like that broccolini is just so good for you. And so add a lot of that. But the way I look at it, guys, is I never ever suggest a diet. I'm never going to say a diet. Everything that we're doing, in fact, my friend Eileen and I were just talking about this, diet is what you're eating. It's what you're eating and how you want to eat the rest of your life. And so there are all these things that come and go, and people will go on different diets. And I'm telling you, I've been in the fitness industry since 1984, so lots and lots of years. And I have seen so many people who get gung-ho, go on a diet, lose weight, and put on more. You've heard that story. I'm sure you know people. So if you can really look at it, and what we're doing here at the Fresh Table is teaching you how to live for life. Like, this is what you should eat, and this is the way to do it the rest of your life. No diet, no counting calories, just trying to get as many nutrients and vitamins into your body so that you can live fully.
You're also eating things in their most natural kind of state. Like a frozen piece of breaded fish maybe isn't the best thing in the world. One, doing it yourself is going to help you not have some of those chemicals or other kind of nasty things that you can find in some food. But then again, if you just know some tips, like this is every bit as delicious as a fried piece of fish, but if you know how to cook it and
so much more delicious than a piece of fried fish frozen. Come on, look at this. Look at the flavor that we have on here. So I wanted to show you this plated version. So we have our fish down below. We put then a big scoop of the green pea puree, sprinkled a little bit of that chorizo from the bottom of the pan onto it. And now for that final touch, just to give it a little bit more zip of flavor, we're going to add in here about, as much as you'd like, really, but about a teaspoon here, a little bit more, of some sun-dried tomato. And the more that you can really get these different flavors onto your spoon at one time, the just more it will all pop into your mouth because these flavors really go nicely together. The fish, getting a little bit of that green pea with some sun-dried tomato, a little bit of chorizo. You might want to add a little bit of salt and pepper to it, but just a fantastic dish right here. Having this, and off to the side, you could do maybe a baked sweet potato, and that is your meal. You're done right there.
That's amazing.
Let's
That's
take
like,
out the chicken enchilada.
Yeah,
Show them
let's
that
do
one too. Okay.
so
Were you
I'm
gonna
going to
say
go
something?
ahead and we've had the broccolini in for about 2 or 3 minutes. These will take
Not long.
probably 5 minutes or so. Again, look on the package. Depending on what size they are, that will change it. Basically, the only way to tell if pasta's done, I wouldn't always go by a timer. I would get a piece out and taste it.
Yeah. And the other thing, a lot of times in gnocchi, they float to the top when they're done. So don't rely on that, but most of the time, but we have so much broccolini in there, they might not float to the top. But often that's what happens is they float to the top and you just take them right off with a strainer and take them out. Woo! Look at this. So these are our chicken enchiladas now. And again, all of these items, as you know, we're doing them with 5 ingredients or less. And this might look like a ton of food right here to eat, but if this is then a 1-dish main course, I mean, this is it. This is all you need. And you might even want to save that for 2 meals. But there's lots of spaghetti squash in there, which is so healthy.
You put 2 or 3 of these out, like in the middle of the table, and have everybody just scoop as much as they want. That's another favorite of mine. If you're doing like these entrees, make them a little bigger, put them on a platter, and just set that right in the middle of the table, and everyone just scoops up how much they want. Makes life a lot easier, especially with like soups or anything like that. You can do a 5-ingredient soup, and if you're doing that, really you're just boop, right in the middle of the table. Everybody scoops out and makes it their own. Makes life a lot easier.
A couple things I want to tell you about spaghetti squash, because again, a lot of you are not familiar with spaghetti squash. So I want to tell you, if you buy it, a couple different ways that you can use it. One, and we do this often, is to make a red sauce. You can put meat in it, or meatballs, or sausage, or you can just have it a nice red sauce with lots of garlic and roasted peppers, and eat it like a pasta, just like that. I also made one dish the other day that was so good. I put spinach, lemon, white wine, artichokes, olives, chicken, and then I mixed it in with the spaghetti squash. It was one of my favorite things I've ever made, so that's another way. You can use them with like making hash browns almost. So if you take the spaghetti squash, mix in some egg, and then they form little like patties, so they can make like a hash brown patty. So lots of different ways that you can use that spaghetti squash. So definitely have fun with it. And if you compare the health benefits of the spaghetti squash compared to regular pasta, it's a big difference. Difference in calories, but also in nutrients and what it supplies. So it's just a great alternative to kind of fiddle with and have some fun with.
Yeah,
Right?
no, for sure. You can do so much with just a few simple, high-quality ingredients. Getting them at the farmer's market or somewhere local, if you know someone who's either catching the fish or raising the chickens or growing the vegetables, it just makes life that much better. So yeah, let's keep going with this last dish.
Do you want to show them how to do, like how we're going to do the Parmesan?
That's exactly right.
that's
So we're going to
finished
let that gnocchi go for just a second. It's starting to boil to the top, and it looks really nice. I like grated Parmesan. If you have like a zester or something like that, if you've never used it for cheese, it makes it really nice and fine and beautiful. You can also get a peeler and just kind of go along the edge, and eventually you'll get these nice, just kind of like shavings. And you can make them the whole length of the wheel or whatever you got, or you can just do little smaller ones if you go towards the end. These look really, really beautiful, just kind of placed on top of a dish. It's that nice bite of saltiness and nuttiness that comes from this Parmesan. Again, you can do 15 different, maybe 100 different types of cheese on this. A lot of those hard cheeses are best with these like heartier pasta dishes. You wouldn't want to put like a piece of brie or something like that. It would just maybe be a touch odd, but of course, all these recipes will be available at thefreshtable.org. Make life so much easier for you, and then you can just go to the grocery store and get all the ingredients for it. This is a great one to make with kids as well. Some of these simple dishes of just like, hey, you know, you can shave the cheese, or you can chop the tomato, something that's just really easy to do, get everybody involved. That's something that we do, which some people think is very odd when they come over. It's like, get to work.
Yeah, that's the best way to learn is to join in.
Yeah, so cool.
Right.
These look amazing.
Yeah, those might be done over there, getting there.
Yeah, let's do it.
And what I also wanted to share, guys, is the Fresh Table. If you'd like to support us, we are part of Faithful Workouts. So Faithful Workouts is the exercise side of it, and then we have the Fresh Table, which is the cooking side. And both of them are TV shows as well. We have an online program, and in the online program, you can access everything. We have over 200 exercise videos, hundreds of recipes, all of our Fresh Table, every single one we've ever made is all there. So if you go to faithfulworkoutsplan.com, faithfulworkoutsplan.com, it's all free. So you can go there, all you do is you enter your email and your name, and everything else will come along with it. It's free, and it's also how you can keep us on the air. And also you can just make a straight up donation by going to either thefreshtable.org or Faithful Workouts. And we would so appreciate your support, because truly, I mean, you hear it on these public radio. I used to hear them and be like, really? But it's true, like, without your support, we can't stay on the air, because we pay for the filming and the production of all of this. So we would so appreciate your support. And also, I really believe in our program. I do. After all my years in the fitness industry, I've just seen way too many people fail. And so through all of the stories I've heard of the challenges and trials and why they give up, I've tried to address all those in this new online program. And it just became completely free recently, so check it out. In addition, we have a website that has exercise equipment and some really fun shirts you can buy and different things. So there's lots of ways to support us. Wow.
That's so helpful. So that really means a lot. So we appreciate all your support for sure. But yeah, let's get back to finalizing some of these dishes. These look amazing. So with this, I just put on maybe a tablespoon of shredded Parmesan. We kind of shaved it, so that looks really nice. I'll get this out of the way.
Yeah, see how much green there is? We want more green than white, right? We want lots of broccolini in there, and
That's
there's
exactly
all in
right.
there.
It's really light, it's really fresh. You could have this the next day, and it would be just as good. I put a little bit of olive oil, just a drizzle, maybe a tablespoon at most. I just kind of customize it to however you like it. But again, moderation on some of these like kind of fattier elements as far as the cheese or the oil. They're great and they're delicious and they're totally great to eat, but again, use them just with moderation. Also,
right.
I like fresh ground black pepper over the top of this.
Yeah, some
is
fresh
another.
ground salt or pepper on any of this, guys. Add that as well. And so we hope you enjoyed this episode. We're glad that we got to spend time with you. We enjoy being with you. And we just want to make it like, you know, we don't have it all together. We're just like you. We're just trying to like figure out ways to make some quick, healthy meals. And then I am just super passionate about sharing all the different recipes and things that I've learned. And more so, my real heart is that I help you with the hangriness of your soul. And part of our program includes, the online program includes a Bible reading plan. It includes scripture in all of our workouts and upbeat, fun Christian music. So we're going to help you satisfy that little hungry in your belly and that hungriness in your soul. So we are just so glad you are here with us, and we can't wait to see you next time at
The Fresh Table.
The Fresh Table.